and welcome to Have I Got News for You. And if you like your news packaged in lightweight, easy-to-digest chunks of entertainment, then Michael Burke is on at 10. In the news this week, after the collapse of the Leeds footballers' trial, a new, more experienced editorial team takes over the Sunday Mirror. The makers of the Spice Girls documentary decide to release the audition footage that Jerry Halliwell insisted be cut. And the Albanian army regrets asking Norman Wisdom to design their assault course. On Ian Hislop's team is a comedian and musician who used to play the piano in hotels, providing background noise while people sat around chatting. So welcome to the TV equivalent, Bill Bailey. And with Paul Merton tonight is an ITN newsreader who revealed that his viewers are endlessly fascinated by what he wears under the desk. And by the way, he's got a ladder in one of them tonight. Dermot Murnaghan. And so to the round habitually referred to as round one, for reasons too technical to go into. Ian and Bill, your tricky relations.
Ah, Robin Cook taking his shirt off. That's Haig signing something. That's right, big letters.
Big
Good.
letters. And some chicken tikka.
Masala, I believe.
The chicken tikka masala speech by Robin Cook. Wasn't he referring to it as a symbol of multiculturalism?
It was Robin Cook not playing the race card by calling everyone else racist. It's always good before an election you say, we're not going to play the race card, but they are.
He was actually referring to the way the UK absorbs and adapts external influences.
Yes, except chicken tikka masala is just made up.
Yeah, it doesn't actually exist. It's
well, not in nature. It doesn't sort of like nest in trees. Various ingredients have to be brought together in a kitchen.
Right. Is that what you were meaning, Ian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was made up by the British, though, wasn't it?
It was made up by Indians in a British Indian restaurant. So, call that what you will.
Yeah.
Chicken tikka masala.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you know what it means?
Tikka chicken is sort of a marinated chicken, and then it's cooked in a masala, sort of sherry, with a hint of pesto.
So, who's the latest to be accused of racism?
Well, they produced this document, the Campaign for Racial Equality, also thought that it would be helpful to stir things up just before the election. So they said, you have to sign this document. And lots of people said, well, I don't really have to, because I'm going to do this anyway.
It's Portillo, he refused to sign it. He says, I don't need to for precisely those reasons. You know, it goes without saying that I'm...
And Tam Dalyell refused to sign it, and...
Tam Dalyell, you mean?
You're right. I don't think I've ever said that before on this programme.
Yes, this is the pre-election row between both major parties over the issue of race, which, according to one minister, has descended into a tit-for-tat war, Blair providing most of the tat, and Haig looking for all the world like a future leader. The Commission for Racial Equality consists of 14 members, of whom only one is white, namely Julie Mellor, or as she's known at meetings, Chalky. Paul and Dermot, what's your poison?
The biggest barbecue in the world is going on at the moment.
Dioxin monitor.
It's...
Oh,
Phoenix.
This is Phoenix. This is the guy who got foot and mouth in 1967, we presume, because it's in black and white. And there's Callista Flockhart, who's not going to come to the West End to appear in a play because the foot and mouth... the Americans have the idea that, you know, Britain's full of, you know, just burning cattle, and so they're not going to come in case they have to come to the theatre and there's a burning cow sitting next to them. and the smoke disturbs their vision of the stage.
she's just scared she'll have to eat something while she's over here.
Yes, no one's actually told her that it doesn't affect lettuce leaves.
But this car Phoenix is the newspaper, the tabloids have got a hold of this sort of like this image of a caring, you know, but it's only just delayed. It's, you know, it's going to be flame grilled one day. Delayed it by a matter of months, really, hasn't it?
But it has changed government policy.
It has, yeah.
It just shows you how firm Blair is. One picture of a white calf. Oh no!
And what was the further worry from human beings there's been this week?
From the fires.
Yeah.
Dioxins, particulates, that's what they were measuring there.
It's what they call a joined-up health policy, because foot and mouth doesn't actually affect human beings, and it's not fatal. so you burn them on fires which release dioxins, which could be.
The best way to do it is apparently to shoot them, then burn them, and bury them, and then vaccinate them. Apparently that's it. Yeah, it's a bloke down the pub told me that. I'm trying to help. I went out on one of these holidays. The Lake District got these holidays now where it's 50 quid all in, and it's like a sort of slaughtering mini break. What you do, you go... you know, use of a bolt gun for an afternoon is...
Did you have to undergo a training course, though? They start you off with meat pies.
Yeah.
Do you know the first recorded case ever of foot and mouth?
In humans?
In humans, yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well, there was that case in 67 here.
Even before that, it was...
1903, 1861.
This is going to take a while, isn't it? No. 1834 was the date you were just about to get.
Yeah, that was a suspected case. The 1861 was more...
You've got a lot of animals. Are you worried about their foot and mouth?
Yeah, I had
epidemic?
a tortoise looking a bit peaky, so I napalmed it. Yeah, no.
Yes, it is the continuing foot and mouth fiasco. The latest development is that the disease has spread to humans, although this is nothing new. According to The Times, in 1966, a Northumberland farm worker became something of a celebrity when he caught the disease. So if you're watching, Vanessa, there is a way back. A spokesman for the English Tourist Board told The Independent what it would take to persuade American tourists to come to Britain. What they really need is Julia Roberts eating a beef sandwich on top of Snowdon. To which Lord Snowdon replied, "We never met, but I'm up for it." Ian and Bill, your arms and the man.
China, a display of weapons, a show of strength, sabre rattling.
And it's Bush selling arms. Again, this is joined up government from Bush. He's selling Taiwan ships and aeroplanes, but not radar. So he can't let them know if the Chinese are coming. But he'll give them the stuff when they get there.
What did the arms package include?
It was something to do with planes and boats.
12 anti-submarine aircraft and 4 destroyers. What's China's reaction been to the arms package that Bush is selling to Taiwan?
Dermot.
Not best pleased.
Not best pleased.
I was going to say over to you in the studio.
Took the spy plane. Took the spy plane, kept the crew for several days, and then let them go again.
Yeah. It was a disaster waiting to happen, wasn't it, by the sounds of it? Because the Chinese pilot had been buzzing the US planes.
They fly very close. There's this thing that, you know, the Americans think that they can fly as close as they like, the 12-mile exclusion zone or whatever it is, and the Chinese want a 200-mile zone,
But the Chinese pilots have all been watching Top Gun, because they fly near the American planes and then hold out their email number to taunt the other pilot.
Well, he got his comeuppance, didn't he?
Yes,
He did.
yes, he logged off.
So is it Beijing or Peking, or how do you...
I go with Beijing. You know,
Right.
that's the
Why
way
are
they
we
rename
suddenly
it.
told to...
Well, is it Paris
pronounce
or
it?
Paris or...
Well, the latest one is Slobodan Milosevic has suddenly become noticed.
I
Why is
stay
that?
with the vanilla Slobodan. You know, don't get
Vanilla
swayed.
Slobodan, that's the...
plain vanilla.
That's sort of rap artist.
It's the way we first got to know him.
Well, the first time I ever noticed this was Uranus became... It used to be Uranus, and then people realised it was a bit of a schoolboy sort of joke, so it became Uranus. Suddenly everybody started saying Uranus. Did you notice that?
I did notice that, yeah, about 10 years ago.
No, it was more than that.
20 years ago, then.
No, you're in between. Have another go.
15 years ago.
No, 17, I'm sorry. But, so a point away.
Yes, it is the diplomatic standoff between Beijing and the White House. America's arms package to Taiwan, announced this week, includes 4 destroyers, 12 P-3 fighter jets, and the NATO strategy document, How to Accidentally Bomb a Chinese Embassy. The Chinese spy plane crisis was George Bush's biggest test so far on the world stage, particularly as at the start of it he wasn't sure which part of Hawaii China was in. And finally, Paul and Dermot.
Oh, this is Tony Blair. There's a man... Oh, there's a man steaming the wall. It's Robbie
Williams.
Robbie
CD,
Williams, CD
for,
yeah.
And trainers.
Trainers.
For yobs.
Yeah,
Reformed yobs.
there's trainers and CDs for yobs, if they stop being
They're
yobs
very
and become nice boys.
You'd never have guessed there was an election coming, would you? Free CDs, free trainers, free money for babies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baby's going to be given money to spend on anything they like.
Yes, and what else was in the package of measures?
I don't know.
Offenders are to clean up their own graffiti. We can see one being forced here to clean up his own mess.
Look at his face.
The one on the left is cleaning
That's probably affected him. The fact that he's grown up looking like that, isn't it?
I think he's pixelated.
Well, I mean, it's amazing he can stand up straight then.
He went to this estate, didn't he? I think I saw this on ITN.
One of my programmes, yeah.
Yeah, he went to the estate to see what a real unpleasant sink estate looked like. And just before he got there, they cleaned it up and painted the graffiti out and towed away the cars. And he turned up and said, oh, this looks all right.
So what are the previous triumphs there have been in this area in the past?
We had exclusion orders. They did one last week as well on some youth from Manchester, excluded him from the area for 10 years.
There's also the one about sort of like marching offenders off to the cash point machines to pay an instant £100 fine, which he came out with, and people said, well, you can't do that, it's not workable.
It had a number of flaws, didn't it, logically? You're found drunk in the street, they take you to a cash point machine. You remember your PIN number.
Yes, that's right. This is Tony Blair's new incentive to combat yob culture, reportedly offering antisocial teenagers free CDs and trainers if they promise to stay out of trouble. Its introduction follows a successful pilot scheme in the Westminster area known as Operation Ewan. So at the end of that round, the scores couldn't be more exciting, or less exciting. They are what they are, which is 4-all. And so to the gruesome world of tabloid headlines, a couple of tall stories to recall from their equally unbelievable headlines. Ian and Bill, your loaded revolver. Cherchez la femme.
Cherchez la femme. This is the story of Miss France, who apparently is actually a bloke.
Except she isn't.
Apparently, but she's not. It's allegedly.
It's a story on the internet.
Yeah.
Which by definition means it's rubbish. As nearly everything on the internet is. The organisers of Miss World were furious and said, you know, we've been doing this competition for years, we can spot the difference, you know. We gave her a good look when she arrived, apparently, and she's not a man.
You're convinced of this, obviously.
Well, I felt a bit sorry for her. She turns up for a beauty contest and everyone says, you're a bloke.
Doesn't sound like she's got much chance of winning.
And there is a history of this, in fact.
What, history of men trying to get into the Miss World?
Yes, last November, Miss Thailand had to hand back her crown when it was revealed that she was Mr. Thailand. So where's this contest going on?
The Caribbean.
It was in the Caribbean, yes.
Well, there's another, it used to be Caribbean.
It's a Caribbean, yes.
Yes, in Puerto Rico it's taking place. Miss Universe.
I think you mean Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico, let's call the whole thing off. This is the speculation that has led to claims that the reigning Miss France, Elodie Gosselin, is either a transvestite or a transsexual in mid-change. Here's a photo. Well, I'd shag him.
Is that some sort of recommendation?
This isn't the first time a man has tried to enter Miss Universe, although previously it's always been George Best. The main competition organisers began to suspect that Miss France might be a man as soon as she arrived, when she reversed into a parking space properly and then changed into her evening wear in less than an hour. Paul and Dermot, your deceptive spinner. Fergie chews the fat.
She was making her debut Thursday night on the Trevor McDonald show, talking about obesity. Isn't she? That's right.
She is.
Who says investigative reporting is dead on ITV? Look, we've discovered that Fergie was fat.
Right. You've been quite outspoken in the past about, you know, serious journalists or people who aren't serious journalists presenting news programmes.
Well, that's a different programme, isn't it? That's a current affairs programme, or ITV's current affairs flagship.
fine
I do
distinction.
news, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You mean Trevor McDonald's show isn't much cop, really, is it?
It's great.
It's a bit thin stuff, human interest, any old rubbish.
Fergie isn't going to start presenting the news. Well, not that I know of. You know.
Yeah, but they wouldn't tell you, would they?
That's true. I'd be the last to know.
You were voted second sexiest newscaster in the country, weren't you?
That was finished second to Martin Lewis, so that's how
So it
accurate
really
that poll was. Yeah.
Martin Lewis? No, you should. You'd be robbed, mate.
This is, yes, Sarah Ferguson's report on obesity for ITV's Tonight with Trevor McDonald. In her report, Fergie talked to 25-stone teenager Gary Hipperson, saying, "They used to call me Fat Frumpy Fergie, how about you?" To which Gary replies, "Yes, that's what we used to call you as well." Which performing royalty marks the tail end of that round, with neither side showing any degree of individualism, both choosing the same score of 6. And so to round 3, odd one out's the name of the game, and Paul's the name of the panellist, who gets these 4 movers and shakers. Britney Spears, Debbie Harry, Leonard Nimoy and Andrew Marr.
Well, I mean, what leaps out at me straight away is ears. The 2 bottom people there, you got Andrew Marr, he's got quite prominent ears, and Leonard Nimoy, of course, has those, he was cast as his ears came to a point. First acting job he got, in fact, was that. Debbie Harry, pop star, she was a bunny girl. Bunny girls wear ears?
Yeah, because that would fit in, because Britney Spears, that's the current sort of rhyming slang for ears at the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Britney's.
I've a bit Mutt and Jeff and me Britneys.
The Britneys, yeah.
Right.
So I think it's got to do with ears.
Yes, but you had to be slightly more specific than that in order
All right,
to get
I think
2
it's got
points.
something to do with the 2 organs on the side of your head. And one there, and one there.
In terms of nominating one that
Oh,
might...
false ears.
ears.
He's saying it's false ears. All right, false ears.
Well, she
Andrew
used to
Marr,
wear them.
nobody would wear false ears like Andrew Marr, so he's got to be the odd one out.
Is the right answer.
I don't know why Britney Spears has got false ears.
Well, she hasn't, but she did as a child. She was a mouseketeer on the Disney Club programme. She's described by the Church of England as a great ambassador for virginity. So,
Good. And Leonard Nimoy is a very good ambassador for Vulcan.
so what did he do with his ears recently?
Who?
Leonard Nimoy.
He donated them.
To some sad Trekkie.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm not proud of it, you know.
Sorry, I've just remembered what you remind me of, and it is a Klingon.
Last year, Spock's ears were auctioned at Christie's, where they fetched £1,000, 5 times less than they cost to make. Illogical. Spock's Vulcan logic made it hard for him to form relationships with Earth women, making him something of a role model for Star Trek fans. Dermot, you're anything but familiar foursome. Jack Straw, Eminem, Michael Jackson and a Kit Kat.
Michael Jackson was black and is now
Beige.
mainly white, yeah. Eminem is white, as we can see, but sings more or less black rap songs. And Kit Kat, didn't they try and change colour, bring out a white Kit Kat?
Shall I give you a clue?
Yeah, why not?
It's got nothing to do with colour.
M&M is based
On
He takes his name
sweets.
from M&Ms, which
Yes.
are a type of chocolate.
Sweeties.
Right.
Yeah.
And Kit Kat, obviously, from the Kit Kat
Chocolate.
Sweet. Takes
Jack
it
Jack
straw.
Straw.
Jack-
Cheese straws.
cheese straws.
So Michael Jackson's the odd one out. He's the only one that's not as sweet.
Well, I'll give you one because you did nominate Michael Jackson, although for an idiotic reason. The answer is that they've all been banned by student unions, except Michael Jackson, who was invited to speak at the Oxford Union.
Yes.
If you remember. And what did he do while he was over here, Michael Jackson?
He went to Yuri Geller's wedding.
Best man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was slightly strange about that?
The ring was all bent. So where's Kit Kat been banned from?
Well, various Nestlé products have been banned by over 80.
So it used to be Nestle, didn't it?
It used to be Rowntree's.
Kit Kat is still banned because of Nestlé's marketing of powdered milk to third world babies. Sales of another chocolate bar, Twix, were hit this week when beetle grubs were found at the factory. According to the Mirror, workers noticed black specks in Twix bars as they came off the production line. Marketing bosses reacted swiftly by releasing brand new raisin Twix into stores. Ian. Peter Mandelson, Alistair Campbell and Rosie Boycott.
I presume the pictures of Peter Mandelson are put in twice because he lost his job twice. I think that's where we're heading. Obviously, it's amusing to put him in a funny hat praying. Alistair Campbell announced that he's not going to be spin doctor anymore. He wants to do a proper job. I think he's going to be Prime Minister in the next election. He's taking another job, senior job in politics. And Rosie Boycott left the Sunday Express when it was taken over by Dirty Des, the pornographer. Mr. Desmond, friend of Tony Blair's. He says, I'm not a pornographer, and I really object to being called one. Okay. So it's amusing to do so. So they've all lost their jobs, except Alistair Campbell, who's got a better one.
You're virtually there. The answer is that they've all received severance pay, or payoffs, except Alistair Campbell. He's due to pick up £66,000 because he's officially a civil servant, so he has to resign before the general election.
Of course, he's got a non-political role at the moment.
Yes. And finally, in this round, Bill, your City Groovers are Brian Ferry, Rowan Atkinson, Peter Buck and Carnu.
Brian Ferry, erstwhile singer with the popular...
Roxy Music.
That's it, Roxy Music. Now.
Ian, name one of their songs.
Slave to Love.
I think
that was Brian Ferry.
That was Brian Ferry on his own.
On his own, yeah. Brian Ferry, was in Roxy Music, and he was involved in some kind of mid-air fracas. Some bloke went bonkers. Anyway, he was on the flight. And Rowan Atkinson, he was also involved in some mid-air fracas, whereby he actually wrestled the controls of the plane out of the...
No, the pilot collapsed.
The pilot... Oh, right, did he?
Yeah, leaving the plane sort of just going in mid-air. It was a little plane, and Rowan Atkinson sat down and flew the plane.
So he's a pilot as well?
Well, he is now.
Well, you're kind of forced to be, if that's the only way out.
Only joking. Right. Oh well. Well, Peter Buck was recently in court in Uxbridge.
REM.
Yes. Which that was it stand for?
Okay.
Anyway, Peter Buck
REM.
of REM, their drinking, incriminatingly, was again involved in an airborne mid-air fracas, in which he threw something at an air hostess.
A yoghurt.
Steward.
I think he allegedly spilt a yoghurt on a
It
steward.
doesn't sound much like it. He spilt a bit of yoghurt. Is that it?
Well, I don't know if it was like that.
That's harsh air.
All
All of them have been involved in airborne fracas, apart from Carnu, who hasn't.
Is the wrong answer.
I think Peter Buck's the odd one out.
Oh, right. Why is that, then?
Well, because the sort of the pilots lost control and the other three, and he was the one that was causing trouble.
Is the right answer. On Sunday, Peter Buck will be on stage with REM at an open-air concert where Mel B, Dave Stewart and Atomic Kitten will all perform in front of Nelson Mandela. Never has solitary confinement seemed more attractive. Which airborne antics mean at the end of this display it's Ian and Bill who are spiralling out of control, trailing as they do 10-8. A missing words round is how we describe the round, which features words that are missing. A number of headlines roughly hewn from their articles, including some, none or more from this week's guest publication, The Peerless Flying Farmer. So stand by for teenage boys embrace what?
themselves. If my teenage years was anything to go by. Didn't have Channel 5 in them days, you had to make your own entertainment.
The answer is fatherhood, in fact. Next, a first for Japan. What?
History book that tells the truth about 39 to 45.
Controversial. No.
Godzilla buys a hat.
None of these things.
Godzilla doesn't buy a hat?
No, he doesn't. It's got nothing
He'd look
to
good
do
in a
with
hat.
Godzilla.
Trill would suit
I'm
him.
sure he would, but it's nothing to do with Godzilla.
Ground force.
A test tube emperor is the answer. What give police dogs bite?
Godzilla. Yeah, false teeth. Gotta be.
Yeah.
Gotta be. Metal teeth.
Metal teeth.
metal
Yes,
teeth.
I'll give you metal teeth. Steel canines. This is America, where a sheriff's Alsatian has had 2 steel teeth inserted. His owner said now you could set a bomb off in his mouth and not damage those teeth. Surrounding dog might not fare quite well. Next, what is secret to a long and happy life?
Staying away from Godzilla. Not dying young.
Aimless sloth is the answer.
Yeah. I was always waiting for an aimless sloth to come up.
And finally, flying farmers visit what?
Godzilla. In Japan.
Visit farm in a plane.
Bracknell.
Bracknell.
Yeah.
Flying farmers visit alcohol plant.
In Bracknell.
It wasn't actually, it was in Iowa. Here are a couple of flying farmers from Iowa.
Another 4 inches high and that would be illegal in the Isle of Man.
Yes. All of which hair splitting means that the end of tonight's makeover. This week's Merkins are Ian and Bill with 8. This week's bigwigs are Paul and Dermot with 14.
Well done.
And I leave you with news that in Rome there's relief all round as a man correctly answers the question, is the Pope a Catholic? In London, palace officials begin to regret their choice of personal trainer for the Queen Mother. And finally, at a photo call in Dover, Jack Straw unveils new accommodation units for asylum seekers. Good night.
Bill Bailey and Dermot Murnaghan are replaced by Sean Locke and Jane Moore for their second dose of Have I Got News For You. And to hide the transition, and to give you time for tea, or to grab something stiffer, we're having a break.